Okay. Let's see if I can hear this. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your instructor, Pierre Huey, aka Mr. P. The P is for patience, perseverance, passion, test, all that good stuff. All right. Today is Friday. We're going to do the full court Friday. Y'all know what that means. If you've been rocking with me, that means we go through as much as we possibly can that the Barber theory test will consist of. Okay. We start with the CIB and then we go through the 4 breakdowns that the CIB provides. CIB stands for the Candidate Information Bulletin. Okay. So, all right, let's get it started. The following outlines the scope of content covered by the NIC, which is the National Barber Style and Theory Examination. I forget what exactly it stands for, but the National Barber Style and Theory Examination is provided by the NIC. The percentages represent the percentage of items from each domain, which are 4. Examination is comprised of 110 items, of which 100 items are weighted and contribute to the candidate's final score. Matter of fact, let me see if I can't put this on here. Let's see. Let's try that. Screen. Is that it? Bingo. Now we talking. Then let's see if I can't make that bigger. Now we talking. This it right here, y'all. For all you watching on StreamYard, Facebook, YouTube, this is the document. If you are on TikTok, you just got to listen in on this one. All right. Scientific concepts, 35%. You got A, infection control, safety practices. Number 1, identify how disease and infection are caused and transmitted. What this means is when you go through this book, let me grab the book for you. This book is 830 pages. What we are not going to do is go through this book, starting with page 1. Okay. We go by the CIB. The CIB will tell you everything that you need to know, and it'll give you more of a focus area to study. Now, the thing about it is, if you need more focus areas of study, that's where my class comes in. In the class, you can find the link in my bios anywhere. Okay. I'm the same on all social media platforms at Pierre Huey, Pierehouey. Okay. In the links of the bios, you can go to my store and you can find past Barber theory. If you want high percentage questions, anything that is 75% or higher. But until then, if you just want to do the studying on your own, which most people do want to do, you go through your CIB. All right. And I tend to study the CIB very, very frequently, at least 4 to 5 times a week. Okay. So A, infection control safety practices. What are they looking for within that one? 1, identify how disease and infection are caused and transmitted. 2, apply principles of infection control, those being sanitation, cleansing, disinfection, sterilization, contamination, and cross-contamination. 3, apply blood exposure procedures. I'm right here, y'all. If you're trying to keep up, I'm at the top of the page. 3, apply blood exposure procedures. 4, identify requirements of government agencies related to public protection. That is the CDC, OSHA, and EPA. All right. They left off FDA, but that's usually maybe one question, if not 2 out of 110. Part B, human anatomy and physiology. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, identify function and structure of the hair and scalp and the skin. Here's the thing, y'all. So within scientific concepts, this is the part that scares everybody, right? You shouldn't be scared of it if you got the CIB. And if you have the CIB, they are primarily looking for things dealing with the hair and scalp, the skin, the head and face. Look at these next 3. Identify bones related to what? The head and face. Okay. Neck, shoulders, upper back. 3, identify muscles and joints and their functions related to what? head and face, neck, shoulders, upper back. Number 4, understand the functions of body systems. Before we get to that, do y'all notice? You are identifying things dealing with the head and face, the hair and scalp, the skin. Okay. That should be your area of focus. Let me find everything dealing with anatomy and physiology, dealing with those things. They're not asking about the things dealing with the knees. They're not asking about things dealing with your ankles and, you know, your torso or whatever, right? They're not worried about carotid arteries and stuff like that. They're literally saying, okay, focus on the stuff within that chapter pertaining to what you do on a regular basis, which is all of this. Okay. A little bit of the shoulders, a little bit of the upper back, because you start to deal with ergonomics and stuff like that. That's where that really comes from. Okay. All right. 4, understand the functions of body systems: the nervous system, circulatory system, endocrine system, integumentary system. You got a little bit that they're asking about that, but I can tell you with a straight face, they don't go overboard with any of that. But you still have an area of study that's concentrated that you can use to your advantage when you go through this book. Like I said, this is the most failed section out of the Barber theory. Okay. The most failed section out of the most failed domain. C, identify signs and symptoms of conditions, disorders, and diseases related to skin. The types, the treatments. That's pretty self-explanatory. Signs, D, part D, identify signs, symptoms of conditions, disorders, and diseases related to the hair. Same thing as previous, types and treatments. And then E, basic chemistry of products used in barbering. This is the second one where people have a lot of problem within the scientific concepts domain. Okay. 1, understand the chemical pH scale. We did that last week. We can do it again if we need to. Y'all let me know. Let me know in the comments. 2, understand purpose and effects of products, ingredients, and their interactions. 3, understand interactions among chemicals. 4, understand chemical reactions, as in overexposure, chemical burn, inhalation, things like that. All right. The chemical pH scale is pretty easy to go over. It's not hard to explain. When you start talking about products, ingredients, and their interactions, it's really just a matter of having them organized. It's not like it's a whole lot of products, ingredients, and their interactions. You just have to be aware of the ones that there are. Okay, because it can, that one can get confused simply because if you know, in our industry, a lot of times people will say the word perm and they'll they'll misuse the word meaning relaxer. A perm is a permanent wave. A relaxer relaxes the bonds in the hair. Permanent wave curls them up more, for lack of a better term. Okay, so that's what they mean by understanding the purpose and effects of products. All right. Okay. Interactions among chemicals, that's when you're talking about redox reactions, you're talking about exothermic, endothermic reactions, things like that. Okay. And that actually spills into number 4 as well. All right. Part 2, implements and equipment. That is 10% of your 110. Implements and equipment, 10% of your domain. I mean, that's domain number 2 is 10% of your test. And you literally got 2 parts for that one. A, identify function, purpose, and care of tools used in hair services. Equipment, chair, workstations. Implements, razor, shears, combs, brushes. Supplies and materials, towels, drape, neck strips, electrical tools, clippers, blow dryers. And pretty much that one is the one, that's probably the most self-explanatory out of these. Okay. If I go over some of the concepts with you for this one, they're pretty easy to remember simply because these are the things that you see on a regular basis. These are the things that you see all the time. All right. Part B, understand and apply safety and sanitation practices for use of implements and equipment. That's just a matter of being exposed to whatever is the proper safety and sanitation practices. Okay. Like I give you a case in point. A lot of times, if you get in a chemical service, you're supposed to double drape. And you might say, well, what is double draping? After I explain it to you, after we talk about it, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. That does make sense. Okay. Part 3, hair care services, 40%. That is the biggest percentage of what you need. Okay. The biggest percentage out of the 110 questions, it is 40%. All right. This is the second most failed part, meaning people miss the second most amount of questions within this one. But by far, scientific concepts is the most missed, consistently missed questions. All right. Part 3, hair care services. You got A through E. Part A, client consultation, analysis, and documentation for hair care services. Analyzing condition of the client's hair and scalp, which is assessment. 2, recognize conditions that would prohibit service, which are contraindications. All that means is something that you see that you say, all right, I cannot do service if I see this. All right. Like say somebody got skin abrasions on their scalp, you're not going to do a shave service. That's a contraindication. All right. 3, determine services and or products. 4, document and maintain client records. Self-explanatory type stuff. All right. Determining services and or products might go into what you might need for a shampoo, what you might need for color, things like that. Okay. B, hair care. Got 3 of those. Apply knowledge of draping for chemicals, shampoo, hair cutting. They got different draping methods. Okay. 2, apply knowledge of principles and procedures for shampooing and conditioning. 3, apply knowledge of principles and procedures for scalp treatments and scalp massage and manipulation. All right, now here's where it gets tricky sometimes. The scalp massage and scalp manipulation goes into facial hair and services as well, which is a different module, which is a different domain that we'll get into next. So sometimes some of these things bleeds into the other one. So scalp massage and manipulation can bleed into just the general massage techniques that they have in the book. Long as you're aware of that, you'll be good. C, hair design. Got 3 of those. 1, apply knowledge of principles, procedures, and safety of hair cutting. Out of that, you got 3 subsections. A, shaping. B, outlining. And C, neck shave. And honestly, shaping and outlining tends to be the same to me, but they define it through different terms in the book, but it's really not that bad. Okay. 2, apply knowledge of principles, procedures, and safety of hairstyling. Now, this is where people start getting confused. This is where a lot of questions start getting mixed. Okay. You got wet styling, blow dry styling, thermal styling, and natural hairstyling. Now, one thing that'll help you with those is just knowing the difference between those. Okay. Wet styling, sometimes you're dealing with cutting hair. Sometimes you're dealing with permanent waving, things like that. Blow dry styling is nothing but using the blow dryer to get the hair dry. That's all it is. Thermal styling, things where you're using hot curlers, hot combs, anything with some heat on it. Okay. And then natural hairstyling, you're not using none of the other 3. You're just doing braiding, locks, things of that nature. Just by you knowing the orientation of those, it'll put you in a position. If they ask about any of those, you have a good solid foundation to derive an educated guess for some of your questions if you're not fully aware of what they're asking. And then 3, apply knowledge of hair enhancement options. Hair enhancement, that field represents anything from hair fibers to toupees to extensions to weave, anything like that. Okay. Once you understand that it's a broad field for hair enhancement, but you understand the nature of it, you're good. All right. D and E. D, apply knowledge of preparation, procedures, and safety for head shaving. Notice they said prep, procedures, and safety for head shaving. So it's not just head shaving, it's the prep involved and the safety involved. Okay, that's angles that you use in the blade. That's what happens if you nick somebody. What are you going to use? Preparation is draping somebody forward. What do you use the different materials for, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. E, apply knowledge of principles, procedures, and safety for chemical services. Now, this one gets a little bit more involved. Now, this the one needs a lot of attention. Okay. You got 6 of these. 1, understand preliminary tests, predisposition and strand tests. They're not as bad as they sound, though. Okay. 2, hair coloring, including facial hair. That one's very involved. That one denotes a whole area of studying. Okay. 3, hair lightening. Hair lightening, it can be very scientific in nature. I tend to put it with all the chemical content from the first domain, which is scientific concepts. They kind of go hand in hand. All right. Demands a lot of studying. Foiling ain't that bad once you see a few examples of it. And you can go online and see a few examples, and it's just like, oh, okay, I get that one. All right. 5, chemical hair relaxing, restructuring, and curl reduction. 3 of those, hydroxide, thiol, and keratin. Those can get technical as long as you just break those down into small components, small scientific components. You're not going to have a problem learning that one and retaining that one. Okay. But they do require accelerated amount, an extended amount of study. All right. 6, chemical waving and texturizing. Now you really got to get into that one. So that's the one. If you're not careful, you can miss a lot of questions on. If you're not aware of, a lot of times people are not aware of what all of those are anyway. What chemical waving is, what chemical texture services are, and how they're applied. The time it takes for the different ones, the different kinds that they do, and what do they actually do. Okay. What's going on? My girl, Texas Sticker is in the building. Hey, if y'all ain't following Texas Sticker, go follow her right now. I love her content, and she can play the hell out of some motherfucking games. And she bad as hell, too, if y'all know what I mean. Okay. All right, last one. Facial hair skincare services, 15%. You got A through, you got A through D. All right. Facial hair and skincare services is not bad. The biggest thing about this one is just knowing the differences. Okay. So you got A, client consultation, analysis, documentation for facial hair and skincare services, meaning 1 through 4, evaluating the client's skin, the type and condition. It's not that bad. It's only really 4. Technically, it's 3, and then the fourth is a variation. 2, identify contraindications. What did we talk about contraindications earlier? Anything that will prohibit service. So you're talking about disorders, you're talking about diseases. They can get pretty involved. The biggest thing is just going through and understanding each one piece by piece, step by step. Number 3, determine services and their products. That's easy to do because we've done implements, tools, and equipment. So you have a basis of, all right, what am I going to use if I have this skin type, that skin type. 4, document and maintain client records. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I haven't seen anything dealing with client records. Like I said, a lot of times I talk with my students after they take the test, and we really go over the CIB, what did they see, what didn't they see, what did they get tested on, what's the highest concentration of questions, and all of that stuff. I have not heard anything about client documentation and maintaining client records. But if you do, they're pretty self-explanatory. They're easy to do an educated guess on. Okay. B, apply knowledge of draping for facial hair and skincare services. Same thing as the previous domains. All right. That one ain't draping is pretty similar for most. Okay. All right. What else we got? C, apply knowledge of principles, procedures, and safety for facial hair and skincare services. Completing a shave service with required strokes. 14 of them. Now you can't forget. 2, facial hair design. We talking about beards. We talking about facial hair. We talking about mustaches. We talking about goatees. Anything from this section down. We talking about anything dealing with that. Okay, skin, hair stream, skin type, all of that good stuff. Facials, cleansing, steam towel, massage. That one can get involved. You just got to get familiar with what those things are and how they're applied. And then you have electrotherapy and light therapy. Let me tell you one thing about those two. there may be two. I haven't heard about no more than 3 questions dealing with electrotherapy and light therapy, and they don't really get involved. They don't really go all detailed and scientific in nature. They literally just asking, "Hey, what is electrotherapy for?" or "What is light therapy for?" Okay. And then last but not least, D, apply knowledge of purpose and types of electrotherapy and light therapy, which we will talk about. Okay. All right. So we just did the whole CIB read through right there. I'm gonna tell you guys, anytime you're dealing with anything with barber theory, it don't matter if it's cosmetology, it don't matter, it don't matter if it's registered barber, master hair care, cosmetology, all of that stuff. They have a CIB. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it. They got a CIB. CIB, they are telling you what they are looking for. All you got to do is read this damn thing. Okay. And if you ain't going to read it, just jump on here with me so I read it to you. Okay. And anytime you're studying any of these modules, all you got to do is find your CIB first. And if you notice, anytime I do my studying, I go through the CIB first. So when we go through our next section, which will be scientific concepts, guess what I'm going to refer to first? The CIB. You'll see me looking over this way because I'm looking at my other screen for the CIB. I keep it up at all times. Don't let this shit scare y'all. They're telling you, they're giving you damn near a cheat sheet. You remember how you used to take the test and they'll say, hey, you can take notes or you can look through the book as you're taking this test. It's very, very close to that. They're giving you what they're looking for. So guess what that means? It's a whole bunch of chapters that you can go through and be like, oh, okay, I don't need any of these chapters. When they got the one talking about what is it? Creating mnemonic devices and subsections in your mind and mind mapping and all that stuff. They don't ask no question out of there. Is it on the CIB? So you really think they're going to be asking that? So why would you waste all your time studying that chapter when you can study the ones that you know they're going to be giving you? Okay. That's all I'm going with it. All right. So that's part 1. Be ready for part 2, which will be coming a little bit later. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do our full court press, meaning we're gonna go through as much of this as possible, if not all of it, but it's gonna be very quick and concise. Okay. So be ready for it. Next one would be scientific concepts. I'm gonna jump out of here. We did the most important part, which is going through the CIB. If I can't stress anything further, the CIB is your friend. Stay on it. Okay. Don't put it away. Don't ignore it. All right. With that being said, I'm your instructor, Pierre Hui, aka Mr. P. The P is for patience and pass your test, pass your practical, pass your theory, etc., etc. Pass. The P is for pass today. I know some people they're supposed to be going Monday to take their test. Wish them luck for me. All right. We're gonna jump off of here. Everybody that jumped on here, show me some love. Thank you so much. This is now my 3rd time surpassing 1K likes, and it feels great. All right. See y'all soon. Peace. And